I had a big script for this one, and no matter how many times I tried it, the intro was always terrible, so I'm just going to go unscripted. I'm going to talk about whether game leaks are a bad thing, a good thing, or... This is why you need to script your videos. So I'm willing to go out on a limb here and say anyone watching this video has likely been around for a couple game leaks. Whether or not it be information about a yet-to-be-announced game, or just new super secret stuff about upcoming ones. It's hardly a rare occurrence now, and it feels like it's happening more and more every year, but that's not the part I want to talk about. Mainly because that'd be harder to verify and research, as I have as many connections as I do friends. So I'm not too concerned about how it's attained, but whether or not it being leaked to the public in the first place is a good thing, or whether it's something to be sneered at. Because leaking is a very weird territory that I feel needs a tad more analysis, and since I have nothing going on in my life, I figured it might as well be me. Game leaks and the like appear to be a rather divisive issue, with a fair few sides to the debate. You've got people decrying them, writing them off as a bad thing and something to scoff at, but you've also got the people adamant that a journalist has an ethical obligation to leak any and all information they might have on a game. And this is just the prominent ends of the scale. You still have the middling area of people that are kind of either unfazed or just kind of confused, and a large quantity of others scattered across it, with me among them. So it's definitely hard to say what the real answer is here, and in that sense I'm kinda cheating with my video title, because I'm really not sure I can give a solid solution to the problem. But I do feel there needs to be a step forwards towards more discussion that takes multiple viewpoints into account. Basically, that's what we're gonna do. So strap in, or just sit down, or it's up to you, really. One common defense of leaking is the idea that any information relevant to a consumer should be presented at the earliest convenience. In essence, if there's something a buyer should know sooner rather than later, it's argued that the knowledge should be made known right now. This is what rather famous leaker Laura Kate Dale uses as her reasoning for what she does. A great example of this is her unboxing of the non-existent at the time PS4 Slim.
And yeah, that's a PS4 Slim there. It's a real thing. Stop telling people it's not real.
It's kind of a funny example, but the point is that she says she has no obligation to withhold information that could be in the public domain. And I agree with her that the review and unboxing of an unannounced console was a good thing. It not only allows people to hold off if they want a new system but would rather get the new model, but also tells them what to expect from it and what potential downgrades it might have in advance. However, a very common and understandable accusation is that leakers are using a morally just excuse to hide behind a kind of more shallow desire for clicks and internet fame, etc, etc. I can't really say that this isn't true in some instances, even though I'd like to believe it isn't the case, but even if they were, does it make the pro-consumer argument any less true? Because I'm inclined to believe it doesn't. Regardless, it's possible, but the ultimate thing to take away is that there is almost certainly a consumer benefit as a result. This is the kind of common ideology among those with the stance that leaking is like a duty for writers. On some level I understand the notion. It's true, as I've noted, that it's much better for the public to be more informed, and by doing so lessens the vice-like grip of corporations. But not only do journalists have no actual ethical or moral duty to release this stuff, some of them actively just don't want to or even feel comfortable with it. It has a large risk of endangering your relationship with publishers and could destroy your credibility if your leak is incorrect. I can see people saying it's a selfish approach, but it's really not. This kind of thing is a journalist's very livelihood, and in a sense it's extremely selfish to so aggressively hold them to your own standards. So while it would be desirable to some to have a more open feed of information, it's certainly not a reasonable expectation to have from every games journalist. And regardless, who's to say every piece of that information benefits the consumer at all? While I think examples like the PS4 Slim and maybe some game releases could definitely benefit people, when does it stop really being applicable? And how good is this segue? So it's hardly unexpected that a medium so surrounded around entertainment and mascots and things like that has such a large degree of fanfare and excitement pretty much all the time. I mean, I for one get super caught up in it. But the issue with this is the complaint that leaks kill the fun, or quote-unquote hype. And this is where it gets a bit weird, because I can't seem to pick a side with this one. A great deal of people, including me, derive a sense of pleasure from big events like E3, or the fun little Nintendo Directs that I love and have never made me angry.
No, don't do a 3DS thing. Don't do the 3DS. I don't want a new 3DS thing. Don't do it.
What?
What? No, don't do a 3DS thing. Oh, fuck off, you.
And the idea of that being prematurely spoiled can definitely hamper a lot of enjoyment. I get it, I really do, but the question it brings up to me is whether it's a healthy attitude to have when exposing yourself to what is essentially advertising anyway. This is where it becomes difficult, because while generally I feel hype culture is a very dangerous practice, purely in how effective it is as a sales tactic, I still find myself a tad giddy at the idea of E3 just around the corner. In some ways, leaking information on new titles can be an effective way to curb expectations and better control that hype. This is without a doubt damaging to the corporation in question, but it dampens the effect of the excitement and creates a less manipulative industry as a result. But there are caveats, and my biggest example is going to be Smash Brothers. Returning to Laura Kate Dale, I want to bring up an AMA she did on Reddit, where she speaks about what leaks are her priority, and that she doesn't really consider spoilers to be in the public interest. I like this because it kind of ties into my own views, and why I want to bring up Smash as an example. Smash is really a bit of a special case. It's a game that had a very famous lead-up revolving around really impressive character reveals, and yes, hype. But hear me out, I know this is already a bit hypocritical of me so far. Hang on, I'm gonna get copyright striked, fuck. Anyway, I have a lot of trouble with this aspect of leaks because yes, the whole ordeal builds up a great deal of hype, something I'm against, but the lead up to Smash 4 was one of the most exciting and enjoyable aspects of the last few years for me. I got so much out of speculating and watching the directs with my friends, and the trailers were really well made. And I definitely feel the character leaks that did occur did genuinely upset me and many others quite a bit, which is the thing that really messes this all up for me. And this is why I couldn't promise an easy answer to this question. There are so many variables to consider, and even as a typically quite cynical individual, or at least I think so, I still get caught up in what I consider to be the problem with gaming culture. In regards to Smash, I loved that build-up, and it was very much a hype machine. And I genuinely felt disappointed when I got spoiled about it, but is that a bad thing? It curbed my enthusiasm a bit. God, I said that word weird. It curbed my enthusiasm a bit, and likely mellowed me out a bit before release, but on the other hand, maybe, does the Smash roster even count as spoilers? If it does, is it worthy of leaking to begin with? Maybe the lead up is almost a fundamental part of the game as a whole. It's messed up. The only thing I can really say is that there's no definitive answer, and that there are so many arguments on either side that I think everyone should actually just consider. Whether you agree with leaking or not, we're still a very young industry with a legal system that really seems outdated for the 21st century. So I think the best thing to be done is share ideas with each other and just be a savvy buyer. I think the key thing here is to allow yourself the excitement, but try to remember you're being sold a product. I feel this is an especially important thing to remember with E3 around the corner, and I get it, you might feel patronised by this and feel confident you never get manipulated, but just for me, be careful. Because if you're not careful with your money, you'll end up with a drawer of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you don't even use.